I have more questions from somebody else in the course. I won't say her name. So a couple questions. Let me tell you what they are. Her first question was, is keto and low carb a good diet for trying to conceive with PCOS? Next question, could she have insulin resistance although it doesn't show up in her blood? It's in her family. It showed negative in her blood work, but she's wondering if she could have it. She's been on the pill for 8 years. Is it bad to be on the pill for that long? And lastly, she craves sweets a lot and she gets very anxious. Small things throw her off. How can she become more resilient? Meditation didn't work for her. She couldn't stick to it. Okay, so there's a lot going on here. And I'll also say she's also lean, which affects some of my answers. So the first thing, is keto and low carb a good diet for trying to conceive? My answer would be, it depends. I'm not a huge fan of keto, but I'm open-minded. It works for some people, so I'm not going to say don't do it if it works for somebody. But for somebody who's lean, it's not the best plan, really, especially since she's anxious a lot, and I'm going to get into that in a minute. Keto can be good if you're very, very insulin resistant, and if it helps you cut cravings a lot, and if it helps you lose weight, it's going to really help to lower your insulin levels. And if it makes you feel good, then keto can be okay. I'm going to talk more about keto, I think, in Module 6. But for the average woman, especially if you're lean, I don't think keto is a great plan. And I certainly wouldn't say it's going to enhance your fertility. If anything, it's going to cut out of a lot of healthy nutrients with like B vitamins. So I would say for this particular woman, and for most women, keto is not a great diet for trying to conceive. Her second question was, could she be insulin resistant although it didn't show up in her blood work? As we had talked about in Module 2, yes, you can be insulin resistant even if your insulin levels are normal, because up to 80% of women with PCOS who are overweight, or actually 85%, are insulin resistant. And even if you're lean, up to 75% of women are insulin resistant. Now, there are different degrees of insulin resistance. Perhaps this person, she's mildly insulin resistant and it didn't show up in her blood work. But my guess is if you have PCOS, you have some degree of insulin resistance, although not every woman does. Whether or not the tests show that you are or you aren't, I still think you should be following a healthy diet that's like, balanced, not too many carbs, choosing healthy kinds of carbohydrates with some protein and some fat and a lot of fiber. So that's that part. Is it bad to be in the pill for 8 years? There's a lot of talk on the internet about the pill, and I'm not going to really say whether you should or should not be in the pill. I have many clients who are on the pill and it really works for them. But I have other women who try it and it makes them feel horrible. They get depressed. It affects their mood. If you're on the pill for 8 years, just make sure you're eating a healthy, balanced diet. If it's working for you, then it's okay. Just keep in mind when you come off the pill, it can take a while to get your period back. But I would say it's okay if you feel like it's helping you. Her next question was, she craves sweets a lot. That's super common with PCOS. I talk about that all the time. That's normal. I guess my concern for some people is if you're trying to be on a diet that's too low in carbohydrates and you're restricting too much and you're feeling deprived and you're not feeling satisfied after your meals, maybe you don't have enough fiber, that could make you crave sweets more. So especially if you're lean and you're not that insulin resistant, I don't think you should be in a super low carbohydrate diet. So if your meals are good and if you're not going too long without eating, hopefully you don't crave sweets too much. But if you do, maybe have like a little bit of dark chocolate, a couple, like one dark, like Dove mini chocolate, or maybe fruit could help, but a little bit's okay. But I would really want to see how this person is eating. Are you eating enough protein, fat, and fiber at meals? Are you not going too long without eating? That can make you get low blood sugar. Something that can happen to women, especially if you have lean PCOS, is hypoglycemia, and that's when you eat, your blood sugar goes up, you make a ton of insulin, you crash down, you get really hungry, and you might feel shaky or anxious, which is interesting because she also said she gets anxious very easily. So maybe you have hypoglycemia and maybe your blood sugar is getting too low, and that's why you're feeling kind of anxious, and small things throw you off. So just make sure you're not letting too much time go between meals, that your meals are accurate. Another thing I want to point out is that there are different kinds of PCOS, and I don't really believe in like the whole typing thing, but there are types in a way. Like some women are more insulin resistant. Other women have higher levels of adrenal androgens. So you should all know what your hormones are. This woman's on the pill, so her hormones will not be accurate. But if you're not in the pill, get your hormones. Find out what is your testosterone, what's your free testosterone, what is your DHEAS. That is an androgen produced by the adrenal glands, and oftentimes, the ovaries are the main, I guess, producer of like the testosterone, but the adrenal glands also produce this androgen, the DHEAS. And women who have more of that kind of hormone tend to have more stressy PCOS, and there's more anxiety because cortisol is involved. Because if you're secreting a lot of the adrenal hormones, which I'm going to talk about in module 5, but you're very susceptible to stress. And when you get stressed, you secrete cortisol, and that can make you anxious, it can make you hungry, it can make you jittery. And stress is really bad for PCOS, and it can also make you produce more of the adrenal hormones. So for this particular person, I would just say find something that you can do that can kind of help calm you. And I know meditation didn't really work for you, and that's okay. It doesn't work for everybody, but there has to be something that calms you down, whether it's reading a book or going for a walk or taking a bath or calling a soothing friend, or maybe just sitting down for 5 minutes and doing some deep breathing. It's not meditation per se, but you're just trying to calm down and do deep breathing. So you need to find something to help relax you, because it sounds like